very old man now, and I've played in, I think, something like 70 movies and directed 10, I think, 8 or 10. Many of the movies etch up a very clear image in one's memory and in recalling the way it was made and why you made it and what it was for. I think 10 Rillington Place ranks very, very high indeed. He started with a very good script by Clive Exton.
What happened? What happened to the women? What happened to the women at 10 Rillington Place? Ina, Geraldine, Beryl, Muriel, Rita, Ethel. One by one, the women entered. One by one, they never came out of 10 Rillington Place. It's all so terrifying, because it's all so true. What happened to the women at 10 Rillington? What happened to the women at 10 Rillington Place?
Well, the first time I met the great Mr. Clive Exton was at the very first read-through for Jeeves and Wooster.
Tubby, old chap.
So!
Been here long?
Long enough. And in about 2 seconds, I'm going to kick your spine up through the top of your head.
I can remember we got that script about 2 weeks before we filmed it in the gardens of Pinewood, actually. And of course, having not done much television then, I learnt it absolutely, down to every stage direction, film direction. They sit here, they move to the bridge, Tuppy chases him round the lake and all that sort of thing, and I learned it absolutely. And of course we got there, and it was all completely different. The director said, no, don't sit on that bit, sit over this bit. No, you don't go to the bridge then, you go to the bridge over there. At the end of it, Clive, the wonderful Mr. Clive, was there, and I said, oh, yeah, I'm a bit thrown by that. And he said, listen, I do that all the time. He said, I don't mind if directors chuck out most of my stage directions. He said, but if they muck around with my dialogue, they've had it. And you didn't. You didn't need to.
Look, Tuppy, it was a plan.
What are you talking about?
Well, if it wasn't a plan, why would I knock you to Angela?
Because you're in love with her yourself.
I rest my case.
I didn't realise then what a wonderful writer he was, and how much he contributed to television and film during the 60s and 70s, and of course into the 80s when he was doing Jeeves and Wooster and Poirot. And it needed someone with that amount of clout not to be intimidated by a genius like P.G. Wodehouse.
Now, Tuppy, look, you've got this all wrong, and I can prove it. During that sojourn in Cannes, my affections were engaged elsewhere.
What?
My affections engaged elsewhere during that sojourn.
He was just a wonderful man. He wasn't one of those writers who hid himself away. He was quite visible and hugely warm and entertaining. He'd been an actor himself, of course, so he seemed to like actors, which is always an added bonus in these situations.
My dear Tuppy, does one bandy a woman's name?
Oh, one does if one doesn't want one's bloody head pulled off.
Right, well, yes. Well, obviously this is a special case. Madeline Bassett.
You're in love with that weird gourd helper's Bassett?
And as I say, every time a fresh script came in, we gathered around it. We said, this is absolutely wonderful. Obviously with a huge doff of the cap to Plum Woodhouse, but we also realised that Clive had used his particular genius.
And you stick to it that you're in love with her?
It is not 24 hours since she turned me down.
Turned you down?
Like a bedspread in this very garden. So you'll readily see that I can't be the chap, if any, who stole Angela from you in Cannes.
Well, because your affections were engaged elsewhere?
During that sojourn.
Oh, I see. All right, then. Sorry to have troubled you.
All the way through 23 episodes, from soup to nuts, Clive was always on the money.
There was something different about ABC Armchair Theatre.
3, 2, 1. Hit the music. Fade up, picture. Super the titles. Cue up.
There was an excitement. There seemed to be a bravery, experiment and daring about it.
And now, for your Sunday night dramatic entertainment, we bring you Armchair Theatre.
There had to be a sort of team spirit. And as I said, the physical layout of the place always helped that. I think it partly came about by happenstance, and partly Sydney arranged it that way. It was always nice to go to ABC because the main body of the drama department was a large reception area surrounded by offices, which were mainly the director's offices, and Sydney's office was at the end. But the reception area was always kept completely empty except for one rather awful piece of prop sculpture made of fiberglass or papier-mâché or something. But it was a sort of natural meeting place and gathering area, and all around you everybody was working on next week's play or the week after. And that was a very good thing. You immediately felt in the middle of something going on.
I know that writing.
I don't know. Nobody I know.
It's from Joy. Joy.
Joy? Who's Joy? We don't know. Joy? Joy. Joy. No, Jane.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! You stupid old fool, really. I don't know any Joy. Who's Joy? I don't know any Joy.
No need to shout and scream.
Of course you know Joy.
No need for all this shouting and screaming. I don't know anybody called Joy. You think I do?
Joy.
It was a joy to work with Clive all the way through, and he was a great champion of the series, and I learned a lot from Mr. Exton.
One night Clive was watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he was laughing a lot at the programme, so I asked him why. And this was because there was a young man, a contestant, who was awfully pleased with the fact that he knew absolutely nothing, maybe his name, but that really was it. And so Clive took this little idea and did what writers do and said, what if? Where does he come from? You know, who is he? What would he do? And then along came Barking. One of Clive's great passions was language, the English language, and the use of it, speech patterns, speech rhythms. And he was a very careful writer. He didn't use a word lightly. Nothing was ever slapdash.
He used to say on many occasions, actually, that he had a great love of writing for the theatre. His great success as a screenwriter for the screen and for television stopped him writing for the theatre as much as he would have liked to. So I think the fact that he has a production going into the West End shortly would have actually thrilled him.
He would be absolutely thrilled and pleased and proud, and he would love every moment. He would attend every rehearsal and probably every performance, actually.